Let's go mushroom picking. I need my phone. I really don't think I'll be needing a hat or a coat, just my pack. Here in the UK, the height of the mushroom foraging season is just about here. In this country, if you know where to look and what to look for, you can find edible mushrooms at pretty much any time of the year. But late summer and early autumn is when we get a sudden proliferation of them, and that's when I love getting out into the woods and the fields and rooting around the hedgerows and hunting for mushrooms. When you're hunting for fungi, any wild edibles, accurate positive identification is extremely important, but it can be quite difficult. There are so many different species of fungi that even a highly trained and experienced person would be hard pressed to identify them all on first sight. And their appearances can fluctuate greatly from the usually immaculate images used to illustrate books. Steps. Lots and lots of steps. You can't see it, but they go a long way up. When we're trying to identify a mushroom, a fungi, or indeed any wild edible, it's important that we take into consideration and examine a whole array of evidence, because that evidence should bring us to a correct conclusion. That evidence includes, but is not limited to, obvious elements such as the appearance, the internal or external colour, the texture, and the smell. And there may be not so obvious clues like the geographical location, the time of the year, the proximity to other species, the grouping, how close it is to other species of fungus, and question things like the actual siting of the specimen itself. For example, if it's a bracket fungus, is it growing on the correct host tree? All of these clues, all of this evidence should lead us towards a correct identification of the species. And then we have to consider the age and condition of the specimen. In the case of a giant puffball, for example, an older specimen is nothing but a bag of powdery spores. Mushrooms that have been above ground for a few days are well known to be targets for bugs and slugs and are often hosts to lots of wriggly maggots. That's great if you want the extra protein or if you're a fisherman looking for bait, but for me, definitely not. And that's why my father and my grandfather used to go mushroom hunting in the fields before first light with torches, so that they could get the mushrooms as they popped up long before any bugs and slugs got anywhere near them. Again, I reiterate, 100% ID or leave it be. And if you're not sure about the condition of a specimen, just walk away. You can always call into a supermarket on your way home. If you really want to get into foraging for fungi, then take your time and learn how to do it properly and safely. You could go on a course. There are loads of courses about foraging for fungi. You could, of course, go out with somebody that's knowledgeable, but be careful, not everybody that says they're knowledgeable really is. And no matter how many courses you go on, or how often you go out with somebody that's more experienced than you, it always pays to carry a handy field guide. When you're using a guide, make sure that you build a complete picture using this information. Don't leave anything out, because that one small piece of evidence that you choose to disregard could totally contradict the identification of a safe species. I'll drop a few links in the description below to some of the field guides that I've always relied on. Let's share some knowledge here. If you rely on a good book or field guide that I've not mentioned, then please drop a comment and let us know. Knowledge is power. When I began my journey into foraging for mushrooms quite a few years ago, I started by learning to identify accurately just a few species, and I stuck with them. I've gradually increased my knowledge and my confidence over the years and my menu choices, but I still carry a field guide. I carry a guide because I'm always coming across new species, and it's interesting to look them up and learn about them, whether they're edible or not. When I'm in the woods here, I'm looking for bracket fungus in the trees. I'm looking for stuff growing on the base of the trees, on rotten trees, under hedges, under bushes. Everywhere is worth a look. When I was walking up here just now, just a few meters down the trail, I spotted a small cluster of edible mushrooms. I'm going to go and assess the condition. This could be breakfast. Yep, I thought so. Definitely all the identifying features of chestnut mushrooms, and they're definitely in an okay to eat condition. The sell-by date says so. Okay, so I cheated, but there is a good reason for that. It's been a dry summer and it's still just a little early in the season, so there's not much about. And when there's not much about, I tend to leave it so that nature can do what nature needs to do. And the same goes for all wild edibles. For me, this isn't about survival, it's about fun. Hello, is that supermarket home delivery? Excellent. I'd like to order some mushrooms, please. And some blackberries. And a sausage. Delivery? Yeah, to the woods. Great, thanks. So I suppose, yes, this video is a little early, but it gives you a chance to learn more, and if you're going to order some books, they're going to arrive in plenty of time. Just a few more points. Whenever I'm mushroom hunting or fungi foraging through the woods, I do stick to marked paths whenever possible. The area of woodland that I'm in right now has been proven to have been under canopy for at least 6,000 years, and it's quite a delicate environment, so I don't want to damage that by traipsing through the middle of it just to find a mushroom. Whenever I'm out, I'm pretty much always carrying a pair of binoculars. I can look at stuff there, navigation aid, I can watch birds, I can watch wildlife, but I can also use these to extend my vision to see fungi further off the trail. Now obviously we don't always have to be that careful, but please be aware of the environments that you're in and, you know, tread lightly. When you harvest, do it responsibly and ethically. You don't need to take every specimen, leave some for nature. And don't just rip them from the ground or tear them from the tree or whatever. Wherever you can, use a knife and cut them off. Cause as little damage to the environment as you possibly can. Once again, for the people at the back, 100% ID or leave it be. And if you're not sure about the condition of the specimen, don't take it. I managed to find a chunk of Terito too, but maybe not in the woods. This pan really is awesome. It's the only pan I ever use these days. I made a video on it a few weeks ago, so I'll chuck up a link. And this is awesome too. I made this from a branch on my apple tree. Bit of seasoning from my homemade camping salt and pepper pot. This is delicious. Food always tastes better when it's cooked outdoors, when it's eaten outdoors, view through the woods, over the mountains. What could be better? No restaurant on earth is this good. No, the only thing that would make it better is actual wild mushrooms. I have to admit to being a total coffee lover, and right now I'm drinking this stuff, Forage coffee. It's roast and ground, not far from me here in Snowdonia. If you're a coffee connoisseur, try this, or there's another one called Explorer Coffee. It's a different brand. I'll drop a link, check it out. It's nothing to do with me, just enjoy. When you've stopped and you're about to move on, always pause to check, make sure you've left no kit, and make sure you've left no trace. Thank you so much for joining me and watching this video. Please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel. Be good, be brilliant, be awesome, and remember, if I can help you in any way, get in touch, let's have a conversation and make good stuff happen. See ya.